they have been made in a planned manner. They have been, they boast of new infrastructure and technology. Several, there you see the man losing control on his scooty. Obviously, what a terrible scenario there. Visuals like these from Noida and Gurugram obviously, break your heart. A feeling of anger also at times peps up when you would be left to fend for yourself, and the infrastructure does not support such kind of onslaught from nature. And the water level of Hindon River had surged, and that's why it led to the submergence of vicinity of several areas in Noida, including the one in Ecotech 3, the visuals that we were showing you earlier of the cars submerged. These, there you have it, Ecotech 3 is a residential area in Noida, Greater Noida area. And the cars, this is a parking lot by the way, and the cars which are systematically parked get inundated. If you would see the green belt that you see obviously on the other side is also passing by a rivulet in which the Hindon River's water came by. The surge also was there in the levels, and hence the water that came gushing in actually submerged these cars. Visuals that not many of us have seen in Noida, especially during heavy downpour as well. But such was the intensity of the rain and the water logging situation in Noida that one could not escape but fend for himself. There we see vehicles plying with their headlights on. Obviously, the visibility had dipped quite a lot, and these are the visuals from the central part of Noida, the boundary walls signifying the Mayawati Park that has been constructed right in front of the Film City, Sector 18 Noida, which happens to be the heart of the city, with several multiplexes and malls. And there we see some skyscrapers also, obviously cloud hovering over them. And these are the visuals obviously from the central part of Noida. We are not talking about the peripheral areas which basically touch upon with the Delhi region, but this is away into the Noida, the residential areas also. So Noida Authority is also on a wall footing, cleaning up the drains and putting bricks there so that the water flow is not stopped due to any congestion. And although in this rainy season the preparations have just started, so obviously the residents would be in for a long haul of water blockage there, but sooner or later at least an effort is being made, and obviously battling the rains, the residents obviously trying to go by their businesses. Schools and colleges, as mentioned, have been ordered to stay closed for the day. We will be keeping a close eye whether on Thursday the situation remains the same. So swelling. And now the national capital itself, Delhi. Let's take a look at how Delhi fared. The situation was no different in the central part of Delhi also. Many construction work also underway of several flyovers. Metro lanes are still being constructed, so the road blockages are there in place. But obviously Delhi, as we all know, being the capital city, houses several government offices, has several corporate offices, private businesses there, shops and malls, and for people to reach to their work became a tedious journey this morning. Some people obviously could afford to work from home, but not many. And for journalists as well, let me tell you, the ride from work to home was quite a treacherous one this morning. Nonetheless, And these are visuals from ITO, the Income Tax Office. Once again, people familiar with Delhi NCR region would know that this place is as of now underwater, submerged, but otherwise too the traffic doesn't also help here. So a double whammy for the early morning commuters with waterlogging. The traffic too increases, the slow movement of the cars, bumper to bumper vehicular traffic. All those things add to the early morning woes there. And this road itself straightaway heads to several political parties. The headquarters are also adjacent to the ITO and next to it. And this is Shantipath, the area where we have most of the embassies lined up of several countries, embassies and offices are there. And mentioning about ITU also, which is not very far away from Pragati Maidan, where the Prime Minister today inaugurated the newly built complex, which will be hosting the G20 summit as well, with 1,000+ capacity, swanky indoors and outdoors. It has received a facelift for over a period of 2 years now. It has approached conclusion, and what a way to welcome, a new Pragati Maidan, a new look Pragati Maidan, which many of us have known. Now these visuals from Mehrauli Badarpur Road. Mehrauli Badarpur Road, viewers, is generally witnesses heavy traffic because it borders with another state called Haryana. Faridabad is close by, and those who are commuting to and fro from Haryana or Faridabad to Delhi, once again, this particular stretch of the road has maximum traffic, if not more, as compared to Delhi Gurgaon or Delhi Noida. So Delhi being centrally located, and Noida, Gurgaon and Faridabad, these are the three national capital regions which are attached to the national capital, and the traffic flow at the business hours, say from 8 o'clock till 10 or 11 in the morning, is almost crawling. Not helping is the rain, as you see. But thankfully, the school buses were off the road. The teachers, parents, school teachers and school kids at least were kept off the road. That is something which comes as a reprieve for many. These visuals obviously once again bring the basic question of planning and infrastructure strength altogether. Noida, obviously a new Okhla industrial development area, NCR region of New Delhi and part of Uttar Pradesh though, and one of the flagship cities as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, adjacent to the national capital, has all the amenities and facilities that you can think of, be it swanky malls to high skyscrapers, corporate houses to shopping complexes, schools and whatnot. But this particular area of Ecotech 3 in the Noida, Greater Noida region, that is something which is not just surprising but also sad, I would say, because this particular township or the society that has been made has come up pretty recently, and the water removal, the water exit, the drainage systems surely doesn't look like has worked at all. See, the water is still, it means that it is not flowing out also. The cars submerged there, many of them would be written off if the engine is corrupted, if the engine is submerged, then I don't know what happens for all the car owners here, whether the insurance companies would also entertain them, because nature's fury, God's wrath, is something that is a factor in insurance, and whether it would entertain these aggrieved customers and buyers or not remains to be seen. But obviously not good sign, I would say, when it comes to visuals like these, because they tell you a picture that on one hand there is development, the skyscrapers are being made, people are buying houses at a sky high rise there, prices there. But when it comes to these basic amenities of safe parking, proper water disposal, effluent treatment, sewage treatment, all those things come, under the ambit of scrutiny. And Hindon River basically submerging Ecotech City 3 in the Greater Noida region. And now shifting to Rampur in Himachal, obviously not better scenes here. Once again, a cloudburst, it appears that has once again thrown the life out of gear. This is not the first time it is happening in Rampur, Shimla district. There was a flood amid heavy rains on Wednesday morning. A government school, houses were washed away due to the flash flood. According to information, there was a sudden flood in Kandhar village of Sarpara Panchayat of Rampur subdivision, 100 kilometers from Shimla. Flash floods occurred in 2 places after heavy rains, and 5 buildings, including a government primary school building, 3 old houses and a community hall collapsed in Kandhar. Along with this, 3 gaushalas also have been damaged. It is being told that 21 cattle, including 6 cows, 15 goats and sheep, have been washed away in the flood. Not a decent scene, obviously. Rampur almost in the, close by to Shimla, and in Himachal with the Himalayan ranges, also the Shivalik ranges. This does not augur well. Obviously, you see lots of silt coming through, the water soil being eroded, and the houses which are obviously being built on the edge of the mountains could not withstand the onslaught of the incoming gushing water. There you see, and the whole soil gets removed, and the base also gets away, and thus bringing the houses down and going with the flow of the water. Shifting focus to Kullu, obviously once again the rivers there are in spate, and not much relief there. You see that the river basically breaking its banks there, and because of the flooding and excessive rain, the water level also rising in several houses in Kullu, and several places in Kullu, and a cloudburst obviously on top of it in Gadsa, as has been reported in the Kullu district on Tuesday. It had damaged some houses and agricultural land in the area, and the power lines too were snapped. There you see the face of the mountain has completely been cut off. The houses which are there on the banks, clearly the base, the structure cut off. Roads are also being washed away, and these makeshift bridges that you see every now and then in small areas. Obviously a cause of concern for people in Kullu, those living in low-lying areas nearby the water bodies. There you see a two-wheeler, people fending for themselves, left with whatever they could take out before the gushing water takes their home away. Desperate scenes here in Kullu, in the valley, right at the foot of these mountain hills. Life as it changes its course, and so does the river because of excessive flooding. This is something that breaks the heart, the least to say. Shifting focus down south, Mangaluru. Well, rain continued to lash Dakshin Kannada, including Udupi, Kodagu, Mangaluru, all these areas, and not very promising scenes there. The houses almost people standing there with knee-deep water. This video that is here being shot from a boat, we can see the tip of the boat there, and look at it. Obviously almost knee-deep water there, still water, no signs of water receding. The natural speed with which the earth could soak the water, that's the only reprieve. Otherwise, youngsters with their parents, fathers, and family members taking a boat to go to safer areas. A youth unfortunately accidentally fell into water and was washed away while watching the waterfall that was reported a few days back, and obviously the situation is not helping as far as Mangaluru is concerned. This family taking a boat to safety is in itself a telltale sign of how the situation is. Telangana, the state of Telangana, newly christened 8 to 9 years ago, but Warangal is been witnessing a heavy downpour. The Godavari river is experiencing substantial inflows. 75 gates of the Lakshmi Barrage in the Medigada in Bhupalpalli district has been opened, which has let out almost 5 lakh cusecs of water. That is also something which would be a cause of concern for the people in the Warangal district in these testing times. This water release has left many places inundated, and the highest rainfall which was recorded in Venkatapuram Mandal in Mulugu district was 14.98 centimeter, and obviously Godavari spate and receiving heavy inflows. There we see with 75 gates of the Lakshmi Barrage at the Medigada district being opened, and 5 lakh cusecs of water has come out of it. In the wake of these incessant rains, obviously a lot needs to be done. People have been advised not to venture into the sea and stay obviously indoors as much as they can. Cars wading through the water, and there you see even the nalas, basically the what you have small bridges made over small rivulets, mostly as drains. They are also overflowing. NDRF teams, SDRF teams are on the lookout for people. There you see residential areas almost inundated, impossible to step out of your house, let alone using a vehicle. And the loss of property here is something that one needs to gauge when the water recedes. And with this comes also the risk of waterborne diseases. We have conjunctivitis on the rise in all across the country, especially due to these rains. Power lines, look at them, convoluted, and people trying to attend it, but how risky it would be. It's just a guess work here, because once the power is out, to fix it also it needs a lot of acumen and precision and safety. And there you see these are obviously inundated areas in Telangana. Helpless people, police administration taking a stock of the situation, how best it could be handled, whether there is a loss of life, how to save anyone who is affected. That is something which becomes a whole lot crucial in situations like these. People living in low-lying areas, meanwhile, have been asked to move to safer places. They have been advised to stay away from overflowing streams and rivers, and not to go near wet electricity transformers and poles. See, NDRF and SDRF, it looks like with their neon overalls, police and SDRF teams have been pressed into action, putting family, children, women and elderly. And there you have it. Whatever belongs to you, you take it on your shoulders and walk in knee-deep water, left to fend for yourself. These pictures obviously do not paint a very promising scenario of a new India, but obviously in front of nature's wrath, I think the mechanism, the system that is in place needs to swing into action, be it SDRF or NDRF, local authorities, police, doctors, hostels, hospitals. Everything needs to open their doors so that people can take refuge there, wait for the water to recede and then go back. But as I mentioned, the challenge is that of waterborne diseases also, especially for children, be it cholera, malaria. These water bodies become breeding grounds for mosquito. This stagnant water for 3-4 days minimum could be a risky proposition, combined with the garbage also that it brings with it. The water poses a very desperate situation here. The government has set up relief camps in Telangana in several locations, and doctors have been made available to take pregnant women who are more than 6 months pregnant to nearby hospitals. And the arrangements as of now are being checked, being put into action, so that the people could be given relief and succor immediately as possible. Even down south in Kerala too, the situation is not pretty helping, but Telangana would give you an idea that how the situation is as of now, with swathes of lands submerged. This is the water being released from 75 gates of 75 gates being opened of the Lakshmi Barrage at the Medigada in Bhupalpalli district, and releasing 5,18,710 cusecs of water. Now, one would wonder, why would states open this water? Because if they don't, even the dams would overflow and the water won't recede from the affected areas, from that particular area. So this is obviously nature's wrath in its full might and fury, and leaving people helpless, obviously fending for themselves, walking hand in hand with their family, with their belongings on their shoulders. Such scenes obviously are something that don't augur well for a developed society, a developed state, a state that boasts of governance at its best. None of the states, for that matter, wherever this situation happens, it raises a very pertinent question on why water receding doesn't happen, why the drainage system doesn't work. Whenever these areas, these parking lots, for example in Noida, are made, they are not just made on a part of the land. There is a proper drainage system. The floors are bricks are put on that. All those things are taken into consideration. These scenes obviously not very different from other parts of Noida as well. This morning also waterlogging was there on many parts of the freeways, the highways, and also within the city limits too. There was no sign of receding of water. It rains a little and suddenly it becomes a pool. And as far as the residential societies are concerned, definitely there is waterlogging in the basements. Authorities pressing motorized vehicles to pull out the rainwater. That is also something that has been put in place. So obviously the visuals need no introduction here. Noida, which is known for skyscrapers and swanky societies, newly constructed. If this is the situation of the parking lot where the water has gushed in and hasn't receded so far, then just imagine the plight of the apartments that would be there. If not maintained properly, then obviously they also become the breeding grounds for not just waterborne diseases, but also for resentment among the residents. Right. So now TV9 Bharatvarsh first had prominently featured the news of frequent landslides on the hills of Mansa Devi in Haridwar in Uttarakhand. And now taking note of that, the government and the administration has swung into action. Today, a team from Dehradun has reached there for the survey. The director of Uttarakhand Landslide Mitigation and Management Center is also included in the team, who spoke to TV9 and said that excess rainfall is a big factor in landslide prone areas, and the construction work too is one of the main reasons why such incidents occur in the mountains. Let's listen in.
हरिद्वार के मनसा देवी पहाड़ियों पर इस वक्त विशेषज्ञों की टीम पहुंची हुई है। तमाम प्रशासनिक अधिकारी भी मौजूद हैं, एसडीएमए को भी लोग हैं और आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर इस वक्त सर्वे का काम चल रहा है। तमाम अधिकारी, विशेषज्ञ, भूवैज्ञानिक भी इसमें शामिल हैं, वो यहाँ पर पहुंचे हैं और जितनी जगह पर भी लैंडस्लाइड्स हुए हैं उसका सर्वे यहाँ पर किया जा रहा है। आगे भी आप देख सकते हैं कि एक टीम वहाँ पर इस वक्त निरीक्षण कर रही है जिस जगह पर सबसे बड़ा लैंडस्लाइड हुआ और पूरी की पूरी सड़क जो है वो बह गई है। सबसे पहले हमने आपको ये तस्वीरें TV9 भारतवर्ष पर दिखाई थी, जिसके बाद आप देख सकते हैं कि उसका इम्पैक्ट आपको देखने को मिलेगा। यहाँ पर तमाम जो विशेषज्ञों की टीम है वो पहुंची हुई है और इस वक्त सबसे बड़े लैंडस्लाइड वाले स्पॉट पे निरीक्षण का काम चल रहा है। हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए डॉक्टर शांतनु हैं, जो कि लैंडस्लाइड डिपार्टमेंट के डायरेक्टर हैं। उनसे सीधे, सर, अभी इनिशियल इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, लेकिन क्या क्या अभी फाइंडिंग्स है उसके बारे में जरा।
देखिए, फाइंडिंग ये है कि मैं तो अभी उन स्पॉट्स को चेक करने के लिए आया हूँ जहाँ पे स्लोप का प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है और लैंडस्लाइड हो रहा है। तो मैंने 5-6 पॉइंट सारे देख लिए हैं, जिसमें से एक पॉइंट है जो मेजर है। तो वहाँ पे स्लाइडिंग एक्चुअली CBRI में जब मैं था तो उस समय भी काफ़ी इन्वेस्टिगेशन इसमें हुआ था, लेकिन एज सच कंप्लीट जियोटेक्निकल इन्वेस्टिगेशन ये सब का ज़रूरत है ताकि हम कुछ कंक्लूजन में पहुँचे कि किस तरह का मेजर्स लिया जा सकता है।
लोगों का कहना है कि इस तरह की बारिश जो है वो एक दशक के बाद हुई है, 2013 में पहले हुई थी उसके बाद, और ये पहली बार हुआ है कि इतनी बड़ी संख्या में यहाँ पर जो भूदसाव की चीज़ें हैं वो देखने को मिली हैं। तो इस पर क्या उपाय हो सकते हैं इस तरह की पहाड़ों में?
उसको भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि देखिए, जिस तरह से क्लाइमेट में चेंज हो रहा है, जिस तरह से बारिश हो रही है, आपको ही पता है कि उत्तराखंड में भी काफ़ी सारे प्रॉब्लम हो रहे हैं। तो ये बात सच है कि इस बार काफ़ी बारिश है। अब मुझे ये नहीं पता कि पिछले दशक में कितना, मतलब ये सबसे ज़्यादा मैक्सिमम है कि नहीं, इतना मुझे अभी आइडिया नहीं है। तो हाँ, आप देखिए, हिमालय है, इसमें सॉफ्ट रॉक है, काफ़ी सारा लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन जोन है और बारिश तो सबसे बड़ा फैक्टर होता है लैंडस्लाइड के। तो हमें तो बस जहाँ जहाँ हैबिटेशन है, जहाँ जहाँ प्रॉब्लम है, उनको थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा ताकि वहाँ लैंडस्लाइड कम हो, उचित मिटिगेशन मेजर लिया जाए। और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जहाँ जहाँ लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन एरियाज़ है उन एरिया में कंस्ट्रक्शन करना जो है थोड़ा सा कम किया जाए, है ना। बिल्डिंग्स, बड़े बड़े बिल्डिंग्स बना लेते हैं, वो उचित नहीं है, जबकि सॉइल का जो सॉइल बियरिंग कैपेसिटी है वो उतना अच्छा नहीं है, कम है। तो ये सारे चीज़ को नज़र रखते हुए आई थिंक गवर्नमेंट जो है वो अपना एक्शन लेंगे।
सर, एक्सपर्ट टीम की अगर फाइनल रिपोर्ट की बात करें तो उसमें समय कितना लग जाएगा, कब तक ये रिपोर्ट सामने आ पाएगी? और कुछ कंक्रीट
टीम, देखिए, ये एक्सपर्ट टीम तो सिर्फ मेरे डिपार्टमेंट से ही आए हैं, तो हो सकता है कि हम कोई और एक कमेटी बनाए जो दूसरे बहुत सारे डिपार्टमेंट को लेके, ताकि सब डिपार्टमेंट से राय लिया जाए कि इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं, तो तभी एक रिपोर्ट बनाई जाएगी। ये तो सचिव आपदा सिक्योरिटी डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट ने मुझे कहा गया कि आप जाओ और जाके इसका निरीक्षण, इंस्पेक्शन करके आ जाओ, तो इसीलिए मैं आया हूँ और एक प्राइमा फेसी मैं उन्हें जाके रिपोर्ट दूंगा।
मतलब आगे और भी सर्वेक्षण इस तरह के हो सकते हैं उसके बाद?
मुझे हाँ उम्मीद है कि कुछ फाइनल कंक्लूजन के पहले एक हो सकता है एक और इन्वेस्टिगेशन, एक सर्वे किया जाए, उसके बाद हम कंप्लीट इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए, लेकिन यहाँ कंप्लीट इन्वेस्टिगेशन यहाँ का होना है।
Abhishek Thakur there reporting from Haridwar, obviously. And now once again coming back to the visuals that we have here on the screen, not very helping, not very exciting to see. Noida, these are the visuals, viewers, from Noida, Ecotech 3. And look at the cars submerged there, parked in a systematic manner. Obviously, that is also a rarity in Noida, especially when it comes to group housing parkings. But the visuals here, if you take a look at the far corner, beyond the green belt, there is a rivulet, basically a water body that crosses by. And since Hindon River's water, there was a surge in the water levels, and hence this area has been inundated. What is worrying is that the water is still, it is not receding as of now, and for apartments that are being developed, in Noida, in the adjoining areas, obviously the mechanism, the science and tech, the R&D that goes should and must take into consideration what the measures for effluent treatment, sewage treatment, water exit, drainage system would be there. But it looks like that the major focus is only on beautifying the society, the inner walls of the society, and not the peripheral areas and services like parking. And look at them, almost 90% of the car's body is inside the water. Roughly about 100 to 150 cars being parked here, more than that I would say, roughly around 200 to 250, and all of them submerged. What happens to the cars? Obviously no one knows. If the engine seizes, as they say, then even the car is almost written off. So what happens with the insurance companies, that remains to be seen. But we have visuals of both the faces of Noida. One is the residential area, the other one is the roads, and look at them at the corner of the roads. Obviously water stagnant there. The banking of the roads, in class 10th physics there used to be a question why the roads are banked, why banking of the curves is done. Obviously that is done for the smooth passage of the traffic on several speeds, but also the banking, whichever way the road is banked, the water it gets accumulated there. So whether the drainage system has been put in the right place or not remains to be seen. Even if there are drains, whether they are clean or not, that's another question. Even if they are clean, whether the water that is going into the discharge area, whether that is sufficiently open and clean or not, that remains to be seen. The man there losing control of his scooty, obviously fending for himself. Anyone could be in his possession during these times. He has got the raincoat on, but obviously not much help coming his way. Look at the speed of the water with which it is gushing. Something that obviously raises a lot of question when it comes to the management of the city planning. Talking about making a particular area, the city like Delhi को सिंगापुर बना देंगे, इसको न्यूयॉर्क बना देंगे, उसको टोक्यो बना देंगे. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done. And very basic things like management of the roads, what would happen if water is there, how the water would recede, all those planning should be done in the first place. I mean, mere lip service is not going to help. And obviously the taxes that each one of us pay, especially the road taxes, when you buy a vehicle, that is also huge. Apart from the other direct and indirect taxes that you pay, all that money should be properly used in order to have decent, trouble-free, hassle-free travel on the roads during the monsoon season. From one city to another, let's take a look at the metropolitan city of Mumbai, how it is faring in these monsoons.
मुंबई में ऑरेंज अलर्ट है। लगातार रुक रुक कर शहर में बारिश हो रही है और बारिश की वजह से शहर में कई इलाकों में भारी ट्रैफिक जाम देखने को मिल रहा है, चाहे हाईवे का इलाका हो, सर्विस रोड हो या फिर सबवे का इलाका हो, चारों तरफ ट्रैफिक है। इस वक्त मैं मुंबई के अंधेरी सबवे पर मौजूद हूं और यहां पर सबवे में किस तरह से भारी ट्रैफिक जाम लगा हुआ है, तस्वीरें आपको दिखाता हूं। आप देखिए गाड़ियां किस तरह से बेहद धीमी रफ्तार से यहां से आगे बढ़ रही हैं। दरअसल जैसे ही मुंबई में अगर घंटे भर की भी बारिश हो जाए तो जितने भी सबवे हैं, चाहे मिलन सबवे, खार सबवे, अंधेरी सबवे, मलाड सबवे, कांदीवली सबवे, दहीसर सबवे, इन तमाम सबवेज में पानी भर जाता है, जिस वजह से कई बार ट्रैफिक को भी डाइवर्ट करना पड़ता है। लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा बड़ी मुसीबत होती है जब ट्रैफिक की रफ्तार सुस्त पड़ जाती है, क्योंकि तस्वीरें आप देख सकते हैं किस तरह से आपको हज़ारों गाड़ियाँ सड़क पर नजर आएंगी, लेकिन इन गाड़ियों की रफ्तार जो है बेहद सुस्त है। वाहन चालकों को इस वजह से बेहद तकलीफ़ों का सामना करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि जब भी बारिश होती है कमोबेश इसी तरह की स्थिति नजर आती है।
BrahMos, stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The warship killer.